Beltone Hearing Aid Center presents The Drive.
Ready,
The Drive.
Elmore deep, left side three is good! From 30 feet, John Elmore!
The Drive with Paul Swann.
Here we go. Well, if you're waiting on Paul Swann, you'll have to wait until later.
Days?
Yeah, 7 days, because it's Woody Woodrum along with Dave Walsh, and we are live at the Union Pub and Grill where they are still sweeping up from the carnage that was homecoming. I drove by here late Saturday night, Dave, about 10 p.m., and the line was back to Dan's Sports Shop. I mean, nearly a half a block away, and they were packed in here drinking Southern Bells like they were never going to make any more.
Hey, I'm sure our boy didn't mind that one bit.
Herb Stanley was
Bring it
talking to
on.
me, and he was pretty excited. He had a health crisis there. He fell off of something and putting up some of these pictures and so forth that he has all over the Union, and he fell and came within inches of cutting the artery in his leg and fractured his hip and did some other nice stuff to himself. So the doctor has him on double secret probation right now. He's allowed to greet but not work the bar. So
That's scary, Wood, when you mentioned, because we know what the Reggie story about the chair.
Yes.
So you're going like,
Yeah.
you're trying to do something, and then boom, your reward is you lose your balance or leg
Yeah.
breaks, and you're
that's
laid
exactly
up,
what
or,
it was.
or we've lost him.
I can't tell you how many dumb things I've climbed on in my life, both at football and in my personal life, and you're just all it takes is one trip away. So, but Herbie said, yeah, a lot of football alumni in here.
I can only imagine.
A lot of guys that you played with, a lot of guys that I was with, and a lot of guys since then. So they had a great crowd.
Great crowd, a lot to celebrate.
And it's a good night to come down here tonight because it's Monday Night Football, always on Monday night. So come down. They'll have specials all evening long.
You know,
And
150 and 2.
can't miss us here on 4th Avenue in the heart of downtown at the Union Pub and Grill. But, yeah, Paul's taking some time off. I'll be back with you on Friday, and I'll be out at the Huntington-Parkersburg game, and we'll do the show from there on Friday night. But, Dave, really good weekend for the Thundering Herd as FAU and Marshall were one of the two teams picked to be number one in Conference USA coming in this year, and it looked like despite the Herd having lost to Middle Tennessee, kind of a matchup that might well determine who's going to the conference championship. Well, Marshall will still look like that team, but I don't know what the heck is going on at FAU.
We were sitting there the whole game, Wood. You're on, down the PA, and we're just going like, wait a minute. This is a team that averages 480 yards and 38 points a game?
Yeah.
I mean, take away the Singletary break that they called back for the chop block, and then Lane ran a double reverse pass, the fourth down that we still haven't figured out around on their deep in their own territory. Had a double reverse pass, the guy's wide open, they overthrow it,
Yeah.
and you're going like, thank you. And then Doc's the only thing he's worried about. The chances got away in the first half, but as time went on, when they got a chance, they made them pay.
Right. Yeah, I mean, everybody thought it was an ugly half of football at the end of the first half, and nobody was sure that Marshall was playing as well as they could, and we all were pretty sure that FAU was eventually going to show up. Well, the Herd did get going. Alex Thompson, who ran the read part of the game, he ran it like you're supposed to, which is sometimes the quarterback keeps it. I know we haven't seen that for 4 or 5 years there at Marshall, but sometimes the quarterback keeps it, and he kept it and ran very well. 4 first downs on 7 rushes, Dave. That's about as good as you can do.
He had 50-some yards, I think, for the game. He got sacked a couple times, but I ran into Coach Cramsey after the game, and I walked up to him, and I shook his hand and said, thank you, and he said, he can do it.
Yeah.
And you've seen how many quarterbacks run that. And if you don't, now you have to count for number 6.
Right.
And who knows, maybe Coach Cramsey's got a play where he runs it, fakes it, takes a couple steps, drops back, everybody's run up. Guess what? There's so many things you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've got 2 weeks to get it ready.
I was very excited because they hit the tight end, and I thought that's been a wasted part of the offense for a while this year.
For a long time.
And boy, Levias was just waiting for a chance somebody get him the ball.
Coach Donnan used to go like, our guys are so open, they got their headlights on down there, throw it to me. And then Larney, would he break a couple tackles on one and race to the end zone?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to cover him with a linebacker.
No.
Ain't going to happen.
And every team I watch that has a good tight end beats the linebacker constantly across the middle. And I think Marshall, because of inexperience at the quarterbacks, and I'm going to give Thompson a bit of a slide. I mean, but it's been 2 years since he played
and
any, and it was a different level. So, he's somewhat inexperienced, and Green very inexperienced, and they just haven't thrown to the middle or had plays called to the middle that much. But as Thompson gets comfortable with the offense, I think we'll see the tight end become a bigger part, and then you start to break Brady or Marcel Williams across the middle, and they turn it into big plays. So
Brady got targeted some. I mean, not as 5 is all, but you can see FAU's worried about him. They got 11 guys. Well, 2 guys are on him, so now you're down to 10 on 9.
And I will tell you this: we were talking about if we've seen a much better defensive job done by Marshall, and there have been games, but defense against a top quality running back. I remember 99 against Miami, Ohio, where touchdown Travis Prentice only needed 2 to be the all-time leading touchdown rusher in the league, just like Singletary only needed 2 rushes to become Conference USA's all-time rushing touchdown leader. Well, against Ohio, they stuffed him, and the other one was Marcus Thomas for Eastern Kentucky, was the all-time leading rusher in 1AA football, and he had 9 carries for -4 yards against the Herd in 1992. Those are the great runners I remember getting stuffed. 16 for 39 for what is arguably the best running back in the league, Dave, and it was a good job by the defensive front, the defensive linebackers, and the defensive secondary, and all of that with Chase Hancock out due to injury.
You told me a while ago, I didn't realize it, very observant on my part. One of their best players not even on the field.
Yeah. I mean, Chase Hancock's not out there. But Frankie Hernandez slid over and covered the middle, did a great job there, and I thought, the safeties ran the lanes real well, and quite frankly, it was a lot of it too because Chris Jackson, the corners, played shutdown.
Yeah.
They left him on an island a lot, and they more than made up for him. What was it? 4 interceptions, 4 picks.
One of those, I forget who did it. I'm up there watching it, and you see it developing, and the guy's kind of open, and all of a sudden, you don't see me now, and then the next, I got it. I mean, those guys, whatever they did, Coach Fuller's done the last 2 weeks, happy birthday, whatever, keep it going.
Yeah.
Because, Coach, at the end of the game, play good defense, some special teams, enough offense, we win, and 2 weeks to get ready. And, Woody, I mean, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. Southern Miss can steal one again.
Yeah.
It sets up.
Yeah.
They're in position. They still control what they do because Middle's got some tough people. The big thing after Saturday, FAU get to 6th.
Right. And the Herd has a week off this week, which is nice. Gabriel tells me we've got a caller on the line. Caller, give us your name and go ahead with your question.
Buddy, it's Jack from Milton. Dave, how y'all doing?
All right, buddy.
Hey, doing great.
Well, I hate to be a downer after a good win, but first of all, I'm going to say too many empty seats Saturday. Beautiful weather. Should have had more people there. I was disappointed in that. But I want to talk about our league, guys. There's one thing how you gain respect, and it's not in the bowl games. I don't care what you go. If you're beating other Power 5 schools, it doesn't mean nothing. It's your non-conference schedule at the start of the year. You've got to beat some of these teams to get respect. Now, I look at the proposed today. Appalachian State is 6-1. They're in the top 25. We've got a 61 UAB. They don't even get 1 vote. We have no Conference USA team getting 1 vote. Guys, that does not look good for our league. That means if nationally, by the sports writers, our league is worse than the Sun Belt. And I just don't understand how we're ever going to get up to par if we don't start winning or some of these non-conference games. I know Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech, but guys, that was more like a joke people made out of it than a good win for Old Dominion. It was kind of a joke on TV. But what do you all think this league's going to have to win some non-conference games if they're getting any respect?
Hey, yeah, I'll tell you what, the thing is you've got to win those games to be undefeated, and that's what gets you some respect. Plus, Dave, the TV package is just abysmal. I mean, people were looking for this game on different places. CBS Sports Network on Facebook was not where a lot of people saw it. Yeah. So, I mean, the TV package is awful. There's no money in the television package. And, there's still a thing hanging around out there that, there's a suit against the NCAA that is still pending. and it's a different kind of suit, and it may change everything. Player compensation could all change. Yeah, and a big article today at CBSSports.net and or .com. They have a nice article about it today, that the plaintiffs are one of West Virginia's former tailbacks and another player, and it may turn into super conferences, which will push the rest of us down, and they won't play any teams. It'll be a super conference of 64, and unfortunately, Marshall's not even in the talk about that, and neither is anyone else in Conference USA.
But I remember when Coach Donham was here, he made a point one time. It is one thing to schedule these games because they've got some coming up, but he's mentioned also at some point in time you got to win one.
Yeah.
You can't keep going 0 for 2, whatever. Next year, Boise State would next year. That's the team that I say every year has the front row seat for the Access Bowl where they mess up, which they have. And now UCF, you see the letter the AD wrote to ESPN?
Yeah.
He's not happy with the announcers.
Kirk Herbstreit just said, so what, when they mentioned that UCF was undefeated. So it's not only our league in the P5, as much as the American wants to be the P6, they're not. And it's obvious when one of ESPN's ABC's guys can say, so what about UCF,
they're talking
and get
about
away
Fresno
with it.
and Appy over them, and I'm going like,
yeah.
Okay, what have you done for me lately, Fresno?
Yep.
Hey, Woody. I think one of the bad losses this year was really stunned me. It was when Western Kentucky, especially one of our elite teams, loses to the University of Maine. And if you've ever seen Maine's football field, it's like a high school field. I've been up to Portland. I've been up to Oregon, and to lose to a team like that at home, that sure doesn't help your league at all. I mean, that really discredits your league. You can't lead to a team that pushes hockey ahead of football. And I know that for a fact because that's where my mom's from, Maine, and she told me they love their hockey, and football's a sidelight. So that was really bad. But I'm glad to have you back. I'd like to hear from you more, and I hope you stay. And Dave, good to hear from you too. But
all right, buddy, I appreciate it. Let's hope keep scheduling them and win one.
Yeah, we got to win some games. It's too late this year, but next year we got to win some of these non-conference games and get some respect.
Well, next year, Boise. Right. Next year, it's Boise on the blue turf. So we'll see.
Yep. Thanks for the call.
Right, thank you, bud.
Well, we better step aside and take the first break of the day. It's Woody Woodrum and Dave Walsh. We're down at the Union Pub and Grill on 4th Avenue in the heart of downtown Huntington. Come down and join us down here, or give us a call at 304-399-8255 or 877-420-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Welcome back in, everybody. Woody Woodrum along with Dave Walsh. Paul Swann taking the day off today.
How dare he do that?
Yeah, I know. What's he thinking? And I think probably Billy Cornwell will be in some later this week. But
Paul's probably not feeling too well after the Bengals got roughed up last night.
Oh, my. Yeah, we're at the Union Public Grill where you can come in and not get roughed up.
Yep.
So come on down for Monday Night Football tonight, which, quite frankly, pretty awful game. I mean, anything that involves the Giants right now has a certain tint to it.
Exactly.
And that's coming from a Cleveland Browns fan
who until yesterday had been pretty good. And then all of a sudden they get hammered.
My wife it's the first time she'd seen me have a full-blown snap at the end of the Browns game. But it wasn't about the overtime, the 59-yard kick, because I knew the guy had the leg to do that. It was on 3rd and 35. They let them get 25 so they could even attempt the 60-yard kick. And I'm like, they constantly do things like that. And they fumbled after a great punt return. They're down at the 30, and at the end of the run, guy coughs it up, and right down they go, and they try the 60, and they get it. Yeah. And this time he started it outside and it hooked in on the long kick, and he'd missed a kick and an extra point earlier in the game, so you had to feel like the odds were in his favor. But, the Bengals, that was kind of stunning to me last night. Kansas City, now Mahomes.
He's doing it, but still.
22 touchdowns in 8 games or something.
Has he thrown a pick yet or minimal?
No, minimal. I mean, he is lighting it up right now. And so I think the Bengals just ran a buzzsaw. It's hard to believe that with, a 3-2-1 record or something, Pittsburgh got into first place while they had a week off.
I know.
And they get
to leave all on the bench.
They get the Browns next week, and they're going to be spoiling not to get another tie with them. But NFL yesterday was a mishmash. I mean, the Cowboys let one get away against the Redskins, who are not very good at all. And then today, the Raiders trade
what do they do now?
Amani Cooper to the Dallas Cowboys. And you've got to wonder what they're doing. They're denying that they're playing for the number 1 draft pick right now.
The NBA thing, tank it.
Jay Gruden's saying we're not tanking, but we're not playing very well right now, and he's going to sweep some guys out and get some draft picks.
He's going to do it his way.
Start it over next year, and then, when you got a 10-year contract, you can do that.
Yeah.
So, I think he's being smart about it.
House cleaning, and before we were on the air, we went poor Byron. He gets promoted to offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But same people.
Yeah, Byron Leftwich has the same players that got the other guy fired, and the head coach is in hot water, and so will Byron's tenure last longer than that? I think Byron, though, is starting to show what he knows about offenses. He's going to get a chance with this group, and even if he doesn't have great numbers with them, someone else will give him a chance. Yeah, somebody else.
You heard the rumblings.
Yeah,
he's on the watch. He's on the radar.
He'll go somewhere. It's used to be we'd track former players with the Herd, but now it's 3 guys who are, and 2 of them are quarterback coaches. Byron's offense coordinator, quarterback coach with the Cardinals. Press Taylor's with the Eagles, and then Chad O'Shea, who played here too, and then transferred to Houston. Chad's been with the Patriots about 10 years now. And
up with Belichick.
And those 3 guys are doing it, post the Herd, but now one current Herd player had a great day yesterday.
You mentioned I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, playing Darryl Roberts playing cornerback. Swag had 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 passes defended. Really did a great job for the Jets. And the Jets were in Kelly green yesterday. They wore the pea pods. They looked more like the Herd than the Herd did.
They really felt at home.
Yeah, yes. That's not their green at all, but they went light green yesterday. And, as an old equipment guy, I really hate the all one-color uniforms. And I think it was never borne out more than St. Louis wearing the road stripe yellow tops and bottoms yesterday. The Rams, which they went back to the traditional blue and white helmet, which always was one of my favorites as a kid when the Fearsome Foursome were playing there. But, all gold.
It makes you wonder, did Oregon ship them a batch of uniforms? Took their duck off and put something else on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of college football outside of the Herd game, Ohio State, wow.
They're still talking about that one.
Urban Meyer is defending shots from all over the college football writing landscape that, Sports SB Nation says he's not even coaching Ohio State well anymore. So, that's the only team he's got to coach.
That's right. And you're talking about UCF and some things like that. And I know Kirk, Kirk, look what your alma mater did the other night. Remember Iowa? Now this one. And you know who I'd love to set up one day an interview with? Matter of getting a hold of her. I love to watch Heather Dinich. I don't always agree with her.
Yeah.
But she knows her stuff. And, everybody makes a case for UCF and then like that. But she is just so knowledgeable, calls things ahead of time. I would love to just set up and get her on the radio, because she's great. And UCF, as much as they like them, if she had a vote, they ain't getting in. It ain't happening. The strength of schedule and some other things today they talked about are like, sorry, UCF, not going to do it.
Jeff Brahms there at Purdue, and he put the pedal down. He was not settling for being ahead of Ohio State a little bit. He made some other plays. So, he
they started 0-3, lost to a 1AA, I believe. And then Jafe went back to playbook, exciting, spread the field, do some stuff, fake stuff like that. And you're going like, hey, this is what worked at Western.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he can work in Ohio State right time. And I wouldn't want to play them right now.
Ohio State didn't look great against TCU and Penn State. No. So they have, they ran the ball 76 yards on 25 carries.
I think they threw
Woody
it
Hayes
73.
rolled over. Yeah, 73.
Woody was going like,
he rolled over in his grave.
Woody had that many times in his coaching career.
And on top of that, the guys up north, as Woody liked to call them, they beat Sparty 21-7. But, had a little fight before the game and all that.
I know they were out there doing something. The Michigan guys walked right through them, and words were exchanged. And then the post game, I think D'Antonio took kind of said no, next question, whatever. But no.
Yeah,
there was some animosity there.
They accused during the Spartan walk where they were arm in arm of clotheslining a Michigan lineman and ripping the headsets off of the defensive back. So the coaches have gotten after each other for 2 days now, and it was
and
a little tough.
Next year, Woody, it's at Michigan.
And
so they're very careful when they walk next year.
Washington State beats Oregon for the 4th straight time. I mean, that rivalry is not getting a lot of talk back here because they're on like at 3 in the morning here or something.
Well,
but
Mike crew had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do the show.
Mike Leach, he was pretty excited, and tell the truth, Lee Corso put on the right head. He put the Cougar head on when he gets the Ducks, who he's like picked 300 times in a row or something. So,
and that's been crazy because everybody wants to anoint Washington. Doesn't happen. They didn't think Oregon maybe no, and now it's like Washington State. But hey, if they go head to head and they beat you, that's the way it is.
Alabama keeps playing like Alabama, and they beat the heck out of Tennessee.
To his numbers,
yeah,
he has yet to play in the fourth quarter.
No,
he might not let her.
Back in the old days, he might not have yet.
You need X number of quarters.
Yeah, you had to get an X number of quarters back in the old days. Yeah, man.
That's right. I'm saying this guy could be like win another national title, and when they have the Letterman's party, he don't get a jacket.
Do we think that LSU has a chance of beating?
You know what's ironic? Both of them have an off date.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic how the schedule makers work that out?
Yeah.
2 weeks to get ready. And you for a while they're Ed, but then you got to give the guy credit. They came back and handled back to back Georgia. They thumped Georgia.
And West Virginia had the weekend off, and
thank goodness.
And during that time, they fell out of the Super 16 as picked by the folks at FootballScoop.com. They slid all the way out. So
can you believe that? Offense last week at Iowa State. I mean, I know they made some changes and things, but 150 total yards.
Yeah.
Last time that happened, Sam Huff was playing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, Will Greer off the radar now. W had some talk.
I know.
Even Heather, either Heather's not in their corner anymore right now.
Yeah, really.
Oklahoma has come back into the mix.
It was a bad loss. It was, and the Mountaineers looking to bounce back. They can still get a really good bowl.
Yeah,
they're just not in the bowl
but
playoff
they're
championship.
November.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, Texas, and TCU.
Yeah. So, I mean.
And they got to go to Texas.
And TCU is stumbling, but they're going to right the ship at some point.
Something's going to happen.
They're going to beat somebody they're not supposed to now. So, I keep an eye on those boys. I got my boy Matt Lewis down there. And
you got all kinds
you got
of
Rich
sources.
Warner down at UCF.
I had Rich and former Mr. Helton take
Brad
it when
Helton.
they go. All these things were going, no love.
Yeah.
What do we got to do to get love?
Yeah, I pulled that. You were talking about that article, and
I saw
Danny White's their AD, and the discussion turned to the top group of 5 team during college game day, and Kirk Herbstreit made waves with the dismissal of UCF, and he goes, why are we focusing on just UCF when it comes to Power 5? Because I think there's teams out there more deserving. In order to be rewarded, UCF better not worry about just being undefeated, getting in the top 4. You got to look at Utah State, Appy State, Fresno State, more deserving. When they said, well, UCF's undefeated, they've got a winning streak, he said, who cares? They didn't take that so well in Orlando.
No.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Did not quite get them excited out there.
And Woody, the bowl talk, things are going on now. And 2 of the things I've seen is Marshall going to the Bahamas. Or
against Ohio or Toledo in the Bahama Bowl.
Hawaii and Hawaii Bowl, which is, and then today I saw something different.
Well, at least Hawaii is not Christmas Eve because of the way the calendar falls this year. It'll be like a Saturday on my anniversary, actually, the 22nd. So.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
The thing was, today was I finally broke something different. Independence, Boston College. I said, that's nice. That's
people
different.
would be excited about that. Shreveport's a nice place to go to. That time of year, it's actually not humid for a day or two. So,
and it's after Christmas.
Yeah. I played the year I was out in Oklahoma with the team in the American Football Association, same as the West Virginia Rockets
they go to
back in the day. We went to Shreveport and played a game that went overtime in July. And I'm telling you, I had to carry some players to the locker room. They were so exhausted.
I can only imagine.
Never seen. I mean, the heat was high, the humidity was 110%. It can get so hot down there that time of year. We're going to take a break, and we'd love to hear from you guys. 304-399-8255, 877-420-8255. It's The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Oh, you're stuck with Woodrum and Dave Walsh today. We're live at the Union Pub and Grill, 4th Avenue in downtown Huntington, as they're getting ready for the always festive Halloween party. Which,
the lights are going up as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, pumpkins are getting here, so we're up here in what we like to call the Woody Woodrum Lounge.
There you go.
In front of the fireplace.
You look comfortable.
And, This is my place kind of hang out here.
I was
so
looking
for
at
many
your
years.
notes here, and World Series starts tomorrow. My Red
know.
Sox are there.
How about that? I knew you were a Red Sox
have
fan.
not lost a road game, which is hard. And then one of the big things over homecoming, Coach Cook is dancing now, but hopefully because there's going to be a field.
Yeah, and
I mean, how long have you now been waiting for that?
Well, I mean, I've got a 67 basketball yearbook that shows a plan for a baseball field, basically where the indoor facility is right now. And I know when they built the football field, Scooter Shreve planned a baseball field for the area where the indoor is now, behind the football field. He even wanted to get the lights. It was something they'd done at Fresno State. The lights would turn from football to baseball. And they were, like on a motor, would turn them around and help you with the lighting on the baseball field. And, I mean, Jack Cook told me his junior year in 49, they promised him they were going to break ground on a field the next year. And, of course, and then he came back and coached in 55 or 56 there the one year. They promised him a field then, didn't get it.
Nope.
Then he came back 67, 89, and he finally scratched out a field out of University Heights on some property Marshall didn't care about anymore, and that was taken away when the Walmart came along. So, Marshall baseball has been on the road for like their entire life. Yeah. Even the fields that they played on here in town,
Bill Meyer, I'll never forget Bill Meyer.
Bill Meyer Field.
That center field was a double hit the roof.
Later, Woody Williams Field down at the field house. Yeah, if you hit it over a line, it was a double, but if you hit it onto the roof, it was a home run. Yeah. And it was only about 220 to the middle. Yeah. But about 400 down both lines.
Never had to stop traffic on Fifth Avenue.
And both dugouts were on the same side.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't put a dugout.
I've only got one thing to say about that, is Mike Hamrick, baby.
Herbert Stanley praising Mike Hamrick for getting a field finally.
Down at St. Cloud.
And I mean,
it rained,
St.
they had to
Cloud,
swim to first.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, we played 2 games against Virginia there in 1992, and they didn't get back the whole year. Stayed underwater the entire season. Went to Winfield, went to Greenup County, went to Boyd County, went to Wayne. We played 5 or 6 different fields before the year was out. I mean, baseball has been treated like a stepchild. And, I mean, honestly, there were times where I'd say, you know what, if you're not going to treat baseball any better than this, let's go with track. I mean, it was real close when they built the stadium to either dropping soccer or dropping baseball or track. Yeah. And they talked about both of them. They had a track, so it didn't really make sense at that time to drop track, but they didn't have a decent soccer field. They were playing at Fairfield, and didn't have a decent baseball field. But they ended up, soccer said, we'll build a field. So they kept soccer, and they got rid of track. Yeah. That never made any sense to me. It really didn't. And, they kept baseball even though there was no stadium. And, now lately Jeff has played at Charleston and at Beckley and out on Route 2. And really, if they had fixed up Route 2, you could have played your games there. It's just the press box wasn't big enough, stands weren't big enough, there were no lights. So you had the same problems that you have everywhere else. But I am so glad to see it's happening. Now, the only other thing is, Dave, I know that in this day of corporate sponsorships that West Banco Bank West Banco Field or something like that's probably going to – but West Banco Stadium, Jack Cook Field has a certain ring to it, to me.
Just like tanks is still the Tank, but it's Bob Lutz Field.
Right.
It could
exactly.
still be
Well, it's,
West Banco Park.
It is
Jack Cook Field.
the Jones C. Edwards Stadium, but it's James F. Edwards Field.
Right.
Now, even though that's husband and wife, most people don't
No.
think about it being the field. So, yeah, I know you got to put some sort of corporate sponsor on it, but, I hope Jack's name can go somewhere. Coach, 92 years old, was using a bat out on the field when they introduced the 73 team, which got to the NCAA tournament as an independent.
Right.
Nearly unheard of.
Yeah, and then I
That
remember
happening.
the 78 team made it. I was just started at the Advertiser. I went down to Miami. Albert D. Young beats Florida State. Greg Rousey just handcuffs Clemson, and I got a couple of guys there telling me, you're going to love Omaha. How you going to get treated? Of course, then they go back-to-back Miami.
Yeah, and you're playing in Coral Gables and lost to Miami.
Miami's home field.
But, that team was 27-10, I think, and they were really good. It was a fun team to watch.
Clemson, Florida State, and then Marshall.
Yeah. So,
but, hey, they're going like, huh? And then remember when they called them the Thundering Frogs? After the game, they had the uniforms on.
Yeah.
They were talking about that reunion the other day.
Well, Jack,
they still talk about
Jack was the only coach that didn't go to a trim color, not black, not gold. He didn't. He always went, but then he'd switch them up. He saw Clemson, and he liked the fact that they went with unfinished hems, and so he did that with his pants, got rid of the stirrups, and just went to unfinished. Players hated those. Now players wear them like that, but back then players hated them. But Jack would order a green set, a white set, and then on the road he could switch up green pants, white tops, white pants, green tops, all white, all green, whatever he wanted to do for a 3 or 4 game stretch in the Southern Conference. So. But, yeah, Jack, great coach, and you hope he gets honored in all this.
They just hope he's around when they open it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know every year means, it's a little more time that he's got left. Right. And at 92, he's had both hips replaced. I believe he's had a knee replacement, and he's still getting along pretty well.
One year at baseball, before Houston left TAAC, Houston was playing him in a set in Charleston. And I said, I wonder if Marshall left Huntington on the interstate. Houston had a nonstop flight to Charleston. I said, who's going to get there first?
Right.
Because something happens on the interstate. You know how that goes.
Yeah, and it often does.
Yeah. And I said,
exactly.
Houston's going to be there going, where's Marshall?
I know.
Well, the airport's right there at the ballpark.
Well, there were many times where, they were driving back to Huntington, and the team they were playing on Friday or Saturday had just walked back. They stayed at the heart of town right there behind the ballpark.
Yeah.
And they just walked back over, and then, they'd let them back in for the power game that night. So they'd have a great night while Marshall's players are still going up and down I-64.
Yeah, and I'm sure they had to pay a few dollars.
Yeah. So
and a lot of times, crazy start times because of the power. It's our place. You can use it, but you can play at 9 a.m.
Yeah, or they didn't want you to take BP because you tear up the field.
Right.
And then I was with them when they went down to Beckley to play the day that we were supposed to play at 11, and we got there at 9, and the teams both warmed up, and the fog was coming in. And by the time the fog came in completely about 10 o'clock, you couldn't see any of the outfielders. So they waited, and by 11:30, the fog started lifting a bit, and they went ahead and threw the first pitch at 12, but the first ball that was hit with runners on base was hit towards right field, and we couldn't see the right fielder, and he could hear the center fielder yell, "You've got it, you've got it." And he goes, "I don't even see it." And the ball fell in, and we lost like 3-2 on a run in the fog. So
and the other day with the M Club meeting board the other day, they were talking about last year or the year before. Marshall has senior day in Beckley. Seniors come out. There's like me and you are the only ones there.
Yeah.
They're going like, that's not the way to honor them.
No, absolutely not. We got to take our final break. When we come back, big World Series starts tomorrow, and the Red Sox have a chance to do something only 5 other clubs have done since 1961. We'll talk about that when we come back. Woodrum, Dave Walsh on the Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Don't worry. Paul Swann has the wheel on the Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back, everybody, to the final segment on the Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm Woody Woodrum. He's Dave Walsh, and we're wrapping things up here today. And Dave, Huntington High is 6-2, Cabell Midland's 5-4. Who do you think feels better about where they're at right now?
I would say, because you were out there, and
Yeah.
I'm going like, Midland went through the same problems last year, and then it got hot at the end. Huntington High, at one point, you're thinking, they have home field all the way through. Now, Parkersburg don't go to sleep. Spring Valley,
Parkersburg is much better
you're going to have
than
to
they
play.
were.
You're going to have to play a way to avoid going to Martinsburg.
And you could see that they were getting better last year. And, I mean, Huntington got the break when a bad snap on the punt set them up for a touchdown quick, but Cabell Midland answered that just 2 minutes later with a run, and then 2 more touchdowns in the
Was it
second quarter.
Scoreless second half?
Yep, scoreless second half. Both teams kind of shot themselves in the foot with opportunities. But, I mean, Midland's sitting at 5-4. They have this week off, and then they host South Charleston, who is a little schizophrenic themselves. They won a couple and then not playing so well. Parkersburg and Spring Valley standing up for Huntington. Spring Valley has an interesting one at Point Pleasant, Dave, and I know they're AA, but they're awfully close to being a AAA school, and down there at their place, that's going to be a tough game.
And you know what? They had back-to-back off weeks. Then they had to go to Man, and part of that was probably a trip down and back, because once the whistle blew, that was quickly over. And there's going to be some hype, because they were AAA at one point, and they got brought back down, and they're going to, and why is Spring Valley doing it? Well, they had a hard time getting the game. Even though it's AA, all
right,
Spring Valley would win. There's a lot of points.
Oh,
there's a lot of points out there.
Yeah.
And then the following week, when they play Huntington,
now Lincoln County is 6-2, and they've got Buffalo, who they probably will beat, and then Tug Valley, who I'll say that's a toss-up maybe, but they could finish with 7 or 8 wins, and they're not going to playoff because they're playing 1A. A lot of single-A teams, they want to win right now. They'll worry about getting into playoffs later.
Because we talked about the years in the MSAC, Huntington, and all those people, and now it's just like, hey, 8-2. October end of season, that's fine with us.
We'll hand out the team awards and we'll have a nice banquet. Yeah. Winfield is 3-5. They have to beat Scott.
Didn't they?
Yeah, they've got to beat Scott at home and then go to Mingo Central and win, probably even to have a chance at 5-5. Hurricane is off this week, and then they play at St. Albans, which would get them to 5-5. And in AAA, that's probably a lock.
Well, you got 29 schools, 16 in the playoffs. You play your way out, not in.
Yeah, Wayne is 6-2, and they've got to go down on the island, play Logan, and then they've also got Polka.
We're talking.
How about Polka?
Undefeated, right?
They went 2-38 over the last 4 years, and now they're undefeated up to a point and playing great.
Is Polka and Wayne at Polka or at Wayne?
It is Wayne at Polka. So
I mean, if Wayne could ever go in and steal one, talk about points.
Yeah, you'd be under the cooling towers of the John Amos plant as you play the polka dots.
But I mean, you're going like, where'd they come from?
Yeah.
I mean, who moved in?
Locally,
Buffalo is not that strong, are they?
And a great game, Gallia the other night. Yeah,
I was over there. Gallia's
got their first OVC title.
Well, they got to beat South Point.
Got to beat South Point. Should do that.
A week ago, I think, no disrespect to them, but the coach after the game was going, we don't want to share with anybody, so he's, but they run a spread. First half was sort of like the Marshall game. You're going, where are these numbers were supposed to be sent? Second half, they're down 26-9. And just get the winning touchdown pass with 20 seconds left. And the kid NFL'd it right here, toe-tapped it. They kept going, and then finally the hands go up. And when that was over, they didn't storm the field. I guess they couldn't afford a fine. And if the OBC would fine them. But there was one nice ride back to Gallia. Because as McClellan told me, my freshman year and my sophomore year, we were 2 wins, 18 losses. And Point Pleasant waxed them.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them play now.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't this year, but.
I've got all my relatives went to school at Gallipolis, and Bob Hood used to do radio for them. Yeah. So, that's a good year for them.
You think River Rivalry, right? But
now I know
They played a little bit, but now they're not playing.
I know you're a Red Sox fan. The Red Sox can do something only 5 teams have done since 1961, and that's win at least 108 games and win the World Series. Yeah. The 98 Yankees, the 61 Yankees, the 70 Orioles, hate them still, 75 Reds, the Big Red Machine, and
Lord.
the 86 Mets as it goes through Mookie or somebody's feet, Bill Buckner's feet.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why the Mets
They
won
still
that
talk
one.
about that one.
But they, it's interesting because you've got the contrast in cold weather, the Green Monster, all that, the Boston crowd, and then you're in L.A. and sunshiny, and Dodger Stadium looks like it was built yesterday instead of 1961.
And, you're talking about in years past you had teams win 100 games in the regular season, first round go out. Now you have it where it's like, okay, Boston and L.A., why do we play 162 games? We'll just let them play. I mean, postseason, they've stepped up. I mean, I cannot believe, as much as I love those guys, the Red Sox, they haven't lost a road game in the playoffs.
I think the Red Sox have a chance unless Clayton Kershaw continues to play like he
does what
pitched
he does,
in the last
Chris
game.
Sale doesn't. Woody, I enjoyed it.
And the Reds, they named David Bell, Buddy Bell's son, as their new manager. So same players, though,
Good luck.
again. Hey, thanks a lot, Dave, and thanks to you guys for listening. Appreciate the call as well. Thanks to Gabriel Sellers back in the studio. This has been The Drive. Coming up next is the Metro News game night, and then we'll have Monday Night Football coming up for you this evening right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Good night, have a great evening, and come by the Union Pub and Grill.
Huntington, W227BS Huntington, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Huntington Sports Station.